Campus Comply 360 has two classes of first aid items: general items that can be used by all students, and then student medical kits that are required for students with specific needs. To add a general item, click the Add Item button, select the type of item, and provide a reference number, and if required, an expiry date. If the item does not have an expiry date, it will be given a default value, which is shown below. And the last thing you need to do is select a storage location. Once the item's been created, it can be classified into two areas. One in which it's intended to be used off-site by staff, and one in which it's there for use on-site. So for example, if you have a first aid kit in an office way down the back of the school, that is there for events that happen on the site rather than teachers coming in and out. Now to select, if you select yes, when you go to the checkout button, when you're checking items out, it will appear in the drop-down list. If the item is selected as no, there will be no option for it to be checked out. To speed up the process of adding equipment, you can duplicate items as they're being created. So if I want to create another EpiPen, I can simply change the relevant data, which I won't bother, and then click Save, and I'll have created it again. Now, when creating first aid kits, it's a little bit more complex because we have a bunch of items within the first aid kit. And so the system treats first aid kits differently. Has much of the same processes in that we have a reference, but then we have and a storage location, but then we also need to select what items are there. And we have a long list of items that you can choose from. And I'm going to check 5 items here and click the Save button. Now, once you have those 5 items, the default is that there is only one of those items in each kit. If it is not the case, then you need to go through with each item and click the plus button. And you'll see the value change there. Once that's been created, you can click the Save button. And the same options will apply. But the one thing that is different about first aid kits, because it's very time consuming to add all of the individual components, we have created the option for templates. And if you can create templates separately, or if you want to, if you're making your first aid kit, you can save the template. It gives you the option to save the template. So I'm going to create a template. I'm just going to call it test. Test, and it is a good idea to leave a description so that if it gets created at some time in the future, then you have know what the template was used for. Now, if we go in again, now the system has its first template, and to create templates separately, you can do it off these buttons here. But if we go back now and we select the first aid kit, and the system has now detected that there is a first aid kit present, we can say yes, we would like to, rather than selecting yes, we would like to use that option. Now, if you're not sure which template was which because it's been created in the past, it will give you the information: who created, when it was created, and what it was created for based on what the user has entered. And it will also give you exactly what is in that template if you want to double check it. And once you have that, you can click Save, and that will make the whole process much, much faster. The second class of items, which is a little bit different, is student medical kits. So with student medical kits, if we give the student, we have to give the student name. So I'll just put in student name. And if you choose to, you can add emergency contacts. That is entirely up to you. And then lastly, we must have, if a student has medication, they will also almost always have a medical plan. So you also need to put an expiry in for that medical plan. And then you have the option to add as many medications as you like. We've got pre-filled the 3 most common ones that are added, but of course, if we wanted to add a new one, we can put in new medication, whatever the name is of it, and we might give that an expiry date there, and we can save that, and it will save it with whatever you've put in there. And of course, the same with all other items, you need to allocate an area where that item is being stored.